Alright, what's up everyone? So I wanted to make a video about my setup. So for the last 6 or 7 years I've been hauling a tree climber in, which is comfortable. It was cool for those 6 years. I felt like I can kind of get anywhere, but I wasn't going far into the woods. It was heavy. It was like 27 pounds, but I never used anything else. So, you know, for me it was great. You know, other than a ladder stand, that's all I've ever used. Then I started looking into saddle hunting. I wanted to get into saddle hunting. It seemed like it would make sense. My biggest problem was I didn't want to carry all the sticks, right? If I was going to stop using a tree climber, then I needed to really limit what I was carrying into the woods. So I didn't want to carry all the sticks. I didn't want to carry a platform. And that's when I came across the one stick saddle hunting setup. So what I use currently is the one stick setup with a Trophyline Venatic saddle. As far as the saddle goes, I'm not going to push one saddle or another. This is the first one I ever got. It was comfortable for me, but I'm sure saddles are different for everybody. So I would just get, you know, a saddle that's comfortable for you. But what I will say is when you do get a saddle, I would definitely advocate that you buy suspenders. The suspenders are a game changer. When I used to wear my saddle, it would fall down all the time. It straps under your legs and around your thighs, and it has a belt around the waist, but it would still just fall down when you're walking into the woods. So I bought the suspenders. I actually just got those. I wasn't going to spend a bunch of money on suspenders. The system itself was kind of expensive. So I got those off Amazon, and those were called the UIIHUNT Modular Yoke Suspenders. They weren't that expensive. They were actually pretty cheap. The dump pouches I have for the suspenders, I have these two, and then I have the one on the back. This one, the majority of my setup came from Eastern Woods Outdoors. This one came from them. I keep this one in the back, and I carry my tow rope. So that's how I get my bow up into the tree, right? So as soon as I get to the base of the tree, I hook that onto my saddle, and I hook it onto my bow. And then I just focus on the rest getting up. When I'm done, I, obviously just pull it up. These dump pouches, on the left side, I keep my rangefinder, my tree rope, which we'll talk about, and then my ascender and carabiner for the rappel system. On this dump pouch, this is where I keep my 40-foot rappel rope, which is also your tether. Now, so what I liked about the saddle hunting in general is I can go into the woods without the climber and not much else changed. So I would walk into the woods with a climber and I would wear my harness in. Right, I always wore a harness in the climber also. Some people don't, I did. So I would wear a harness in. So basically, when I got rid of the tree climber and got the saddle just acted as my harness. So I put that on at the truck and I walk in with it. I've got the suspenders. It's nothing to put it on and walk. Outside of that, how I actually get up the tree is the ultimate one stick. This is the 15-inch FeatherStick anodized. The platform on the top is the UP, the ultimate platform. All of this is from Eastern Woods Outdoors, like I said. It's 15 inches. There are smaller ones. I like the 15-inch. And then I got the single step on the bottom, which I like. Also has the 3-step aider. Again, green, Eastern Woods Outdoors. It has your cam lock, so it's real quick, right? So when you wrap around the tree, you're just going to snap it in and it locks. You give your stick a pull, tighten it up. When I ordered it, I did get the steel cable. You don't have to get this, it just slides in. But what I like is when you're climbing, you can get a little higher, reach down, grab the cable, and yank your stick up so that you can loosen it and then unlock it. It's light, it's a couple pounds. So all I'm carrying in, I used to put this 27-pound climber on my back, strap my backpack to that, carry my bow, and now all I do, I put my harness on, and I just hang this off my book bag. So I literally, here's my bag, it's nothing crazy. I just hook it right on the side and I carry that in. So I can actually, I'm a big advocate if I'm walking in, it's the afternoon, or if I'm walking in, it's daylight, like I went in midday, or I'm walking out after a morning hunt. I always like to walk with an arrow nocked, just in case. You know, I've kicked bucks up that I would have had an opportunity to shoot had I had an arrow nocked. So I like that freedom. You know, it's not like you have to. But the point is, I just have the harness, the one stick strapped to my book bag, and then I'm just carrying my bow. That's it. It's easy. As far as getting up the tree and hanging everything, I used to use screw-ins. I was really against the tree straps, but I like this one. It's pretty simple. Comes with 3 hooks. I took one off. I didn't need the third. But you're going to just wrap this around your tree. You can slide these hooks wherever you want. So I use the one hook in the back for my quiver. I like to take the quiver off my bow, hang it there. And then this one for my book bag. And then this folds down once it's on the tree, and you hang your bow here. I wrapped everything with camo tape also, just so you don't hear the clicking of the plastic. And I also wrapped my ascender, what I could, the lever on the ascender, I wrapped with tape, make it a little quieter, and the carabiner. Right, when you slide the carabiner through, it makes some clicking, so if you wrap it with the tape, it's nice and quiet. This, again, also Eastern Woods Outdoors. I just ordered the whole setup with the exception of a few things off of Amazon, like dump pouches and suspenders. Everything else came from there. This is a Mad Rock ascender, and this just gets rid of the old, basically the old way of rappelling. But it just has a quick lever, so when you're about to come down the tree, you would just pull that, use your hand as a brake, and you come right down the tree. Also, the tow rope that I carry to keep my bow in. Once I pull my bow to the top of the tree, I unclip it from the bow, hang the bow, and then I take my tow rope and I hook it to the carabiner on the tether. So when I rappel down the tree, I can yank the rope out of the tree, my rappel rope, because it's stuck, you know, 20, 25 feet up in the air. So you want to be able to get that down, wrap it all up, and get out of the woods. Ultimately, I'm making this because everybody I talk to about the one-stick saddle hunting method, they say it's too complex, there's ropes everywhere, and it's just too much going on. And you know, I was discouraged at first too. When I seen it, it does seem like a lot. Even trying to order it was a lot. You know, I messaged the guys from Eastern Woods Outdoors. They were more than happy to help me put together a shopping cart of exactly what I need, as the whole system was new to me. It had it shipped to my door in, you know, 2 weeks, which was nice. It does take some time to get used to. You're not going to climb super great the first couple times, but it just, I would advocate that you go practice a couple times if you have a tree in your backyard and just get used to it. The rappelling sounds silly, super fun. Everybody likes to have a little bit of fun, but it takes a while to get used to also. If you've never rappelled, I have not ever rappelled, so when I first started I was coming down a little too fast, or I was real jerky on the brake. Now it's just super smooth after a couple times. My favorite thing about the saddle hunt, this is just saddle hunting in general, not the one stick, but my favorite thing about saddle hunting is when I see or hear a deer coming, I don't have to stand up out of a climber, which makes noise, and then you're looking around. There's just a lot of movement in a climber. If something's coming behind you, you got to really turn around and look. Usually there's a tree behind you. If they happen to be looking your direction, the deer, they see you poke out, they're gone. Whereas saddle hunting in general, I love the fact that the tree is directly in front of you, right? So you're hanging back and you're just kind of leaning backwards. The tree's in front of you. I always set up where I'm hoping to shoot this way off my left. So I grab my bow, but with the saddle, you can shoot all the way around the tree. You're not stuck in that position. It's not hard to shoot on this side or anywhere. It's not hard to shoot behind you. What I do like though, if you're anticipating or you're setting up as if the deer are going to come from in front of you, you have the tree blocking you. You're already looking that direction, so you can kind of see and analyze it. When you do hear something, you're not standing up. right? You're already up and aware. Your bow is directly in front of you. You don't have to turn around and grab your bow anymore. The camera, if you film your hunts, the camera right in front of you. Again, super convenient. Book bag, drinks, snacks, everything is directly in front of you, so there's never any turning around. That was like one of my biggest sells for finally getting a saddle. And then all I needed to do was find a better system where I don't need to carry all the sticks. Once I found the one stick, I was sold. So I got the setup at the beginning of this year, and I've been out a lot. Yeah, I've got hundreds of hours in this saddle already. You know, I was fortunate enough, I got my PA buck done real early. That's where I'm from. And then we went to Kentucky 3 times. I did get my Kentucky buck. It was a wash in West Virginia. Had some opportunities. Nothing big. I was waiting for something bigger. Ran out of time. Season ended on me. That's all right, though. But ultimately, it took a while to get used to that saddle and the comfort, but it's far more comfortable than anything else I've been in. People will argue a climber's comfortable. It is. It absolutely is. You're like sitting in a hammock. You're not going to get a saddle and take naps anymore. I'll be honest. You're not just going to take a nap. So, you know, if you're looking for that kind of comfort, stick to a climber or a ladder stand. This, you're up, you're aware, but it's not uncomfortable. It's easy to sit all day. I've done countless all-day sits from dark to dark. In a saddle, no issues. You move around a little bit, you might change positions. You can sit down still. Some people wear knee pads. I don't. I usually have like an extra hoodie in my bag, and I'll roll up and put it against the tree, so when I sit down, my knees are up against that. Or I'll just hug the tree with my inner thighs and just kind of sit for a little bit. But ultimately, I typically just stand all day long. One thing before I forget that I'll point out about this one stick is I think it's very important you get the angled platform. So you see it's flat up top and angles. Now the reason that's important is because you're standing on it on an angle. So if this was flat, you would have that sharp edge pressing into the middle of your foot versus it being on an angle, so your foot rests flat on that. It's nice for a long sit. You're not uncomfortable. It sticks to the tree well. Once you crank it down, as long as you tighten it up like you should, you know, just like any stick, you would strap it to the tree, pull out the bottom, slide it down. It's nice and tight. You can lean off to either side. It's not moving on you. I did wrap mine with camo tape. Not necessary. I just like how it looks. One other thing I'll mention about it, it's ultimately just a safer system. Guys talk to me all the time and they're like, I'm not just going to hang from a rope. That's fair. When I first got it, it was extremely scary. I just kept looking at the knots in the rope. I kept looking at the carabiners. Obviously, you want to do basic rope inspections every couple climbs. I would think, you know, I do. You should probably do it every climb. You want to make sure your carabiners are locked. You know, if you have the screw locks, always screw those closed. Don't just let them unlocked. That diminishes the structural integrity. You are essentially hanging from a tether already. So like in a tree climber, you have a harness, right? And you have slack in your harness. So if, God forbid, your climber falls or slides, you get jolted and then you're hanging there and you're stuck in a tree. If you had your phone in your hand and you drop your phone, you're just literally stuck in a tree. This system, I'm hanging essentially from the harness the whole time, which would be my tether and my rappel rope. I can't fall out of it unless I have a rope malfunction or a carabiner malfunction. I'm not worried about that because I do inspect it. But the point is, even in, you know, there's been situations where I hunted last year and, you know, me and a buddy went out. It was like 16 degrees. It was not smart to go out. The deer weren't moving. But we only had a couple days left. We were trying to make something happen. So we went out and we hunted frigid cool temps. And, you know, I'm in a climber at this point. A lone wolf, actually, which is my other, which is the climber I used to use. Loved it. It was cool. This, to me, just beats it. It beats every climbing system there is. This beats it. It's my opinion. I would encourage everybody using a climber or sticks or any other method to get up in a tree, I would encourage them to at least try saddle hunting and or the one stick saddle hunting, which is what I'd advocate for, because you're just not carrying much in. Anyhow, so we were hunting in frigid cool temperatures, and my hands got super numb. I had gloves on. I could not keep my hands warm. It got to a point where my tree climber's freezing up. There's lots of snow coming down. It's like ice at this point, and my hands go numb. And I got to a point, I messaged my buddy, and I said, hey, I got to get down. My hands are going numb. I don't know if I'm going to be able to climb out of this tree. I couldn't grab the lone wolf. It was the climber itself. It was just, I had no feeling in my fingers. Obviously, I should have got down long before this happened, so you know, it was neglectful on my part. But the point is, I was having a hard time. I feel like I barely got down the tree, and then had to run back to the truck, leaving all my gear there, and warm up for a while. What I love about this, the one stick, is I'm rappelling. So it doesn't matter what happens in the case of an emergency, or something terrible happens, or you get sick, something happens, you have to get out of the tree. All you got to do is just reach up and just ascend down. You just got to be able to pull that lever, ascend down. Even if you got to leave all your gear up there and figure it out later, you can get out of the tree really quick and back to wherever you need to go without ever having to worry about being stuck in the tree. I know to a lot of guys that sounds ridiculous. You're going to say, you know, get better gloves, or why are you going out when it's that cold? The point is, if you find yourself in that situation, it is nice that you have the opportunity to still get down safely, and you're not worried about anything. If you have any questions, I can actually, you know, if you have questions or you comment, I could actually probably give you the part order or the order number for the whole system, really. But I would just advocate you go online to that website, Eastern Woods Outdoors. That's just where I got mine from. I'm just a fan of them. They were super helpful with me. It's not cheap to get into it because you are buying a whole new system. I mean, even the ropes are expensive. That's why I got dump pouches from Amazon. That's why I got suspenders from Amazon. The stick is a couple $100. It's not cheap, but you know, hands down, best climbing system, best money I ever spent. So it's just gotten me to the point where I can get much further into the woods. And I'm not saying you have to go far into the woods, but as a mobile hunter, I like to get as far as I can in, you know, just away from the road, get away from everybody else, or at least have the option to, right? I can just hike with a couple pounds on my back for miles. It's not going to bother me. If I have to get a deer out, I didn't drag a 30-pound climber into the woods. I still just have this. I can haul a deer out with all this equipment. So there's just lots of pros. But if you leave comments or have questions, I'll absolutely answer any question I can, or refer you to somebody that could. But let me know what you think. Most people, like I said, it's just intimidating. They just think it's a lot going on. It's really not. I'm going to do another video where I demo the climb. I'm just going to set up a camera, climb up the tree, and rappel back down, show you how I set up my gear when I'm up there. Like I said, I film, so I'll set up a camera too. But I'll just do a full demo, just so you can see. When I was looking online to find them, it seemed like I couldn't find a good video where somebody just climbed the tree and got back down without breaking it down along the way. And it's probably good if you see how fast it can be done. I'm not going to race up the tree. It's definitely a little slower than a climber, but it's still fast. It's efficient, but coming down way faster than a climber. You just rappel. So it definitely balances out as far as speed, but you know, 20-some pounds lighter. But all right, cool. That's all I had to talk about. Let me know what everybody thinks. And like I said, I'll put together a video of me just climbing a tree and just kind of showing it. So, all right.